Welcome, traveler, to another journey into the past. Tonight, we wander across time itself to places where resilience, ambition, and human ingenuity have shaped the world in remarkable ways. We will sit beside peasants in their mud and stick homes as winter winds howl. We will walk through the glittering courts of Tudor England, where Anne Boleyn forever altered the path of a kingdom. We will stand at the Boston harbor as tea chests splash into the icy water and rebellion brews. And finally, we will journey far deeper into time, to the sacred valley of Caral, where one of humanity's first great cities rose in peace and harmony. Close your eyes, breathe slowly. Let history unfold as a story told for rest, reflection, and quiet wonder. It is the depth of winter. The year could be the 1300s or the 900s, or almost any century of the Middle Ages. For peasants, the season was less about beauty and more about survival. Huts of mud and straw stood crooked against the winds. Their walls were patched with dung and earth, their roofs thatched and leaky. There was no insulation, no glass in the windows. The cold crept in, merciless and sharp, and yet the people endured. Layers of rough wool and linen wrapped around their bodies. Dirt and filth, rather than washed away, formed an insulating crust against the cold. Livestock, sheep, pigs, and chickens, often slept indoors beside families, sharing warmth through breath and body heat. At the heart of each hut stood the fire. More than heat, more than light, the fire was life itself. Families kept embers smoldering through the night, banking them carefully in ash. To wake and find the hearth gone dark was a small disaster, the risk of freezing before dawn. Neighbors would share fire from house to house, keeping the community alive in the harshest weeks of snow. When darkness fell early, peasants slept together on straw pallets, parents and children pressed tightly for warmth. Breathing slowly, even carefully, was part of survival. Faith, too, was a shield against despair. The winter was endured as a trial, with prayer and the hope of spring guiding the weary heart. Now, we leave the humble hearth and step into the grandeur of Tudor England. Anne Boleyn was no peasant. She was raised among the courts of Europe, where refinement, intellect, and ambition shaped her into a woman unlike any other in Henry VIII's kingdom. When she returned to England, she caught the eye of the king. Henry was accustomed to women yielding to his advances, yet Anne refused. She would not be his mistress. If he wanted her, he must make her queen. This demand was revolutionary. For Henry, it became an obsession. But there was one obstacle. He was already married to Catherine of Aragon. To have Anne, Henry needed the Pope's blessing for an annulment. The Pope refused, so Henry broke away. He cast aside papal authority, severed England from Rome, and created the Church of England, all to claim Anne Boleyn as his wife. At first, Anne triumphed. She became queen, wielding influence in politics and religion. Yet fortune is a fickle ally. She bore a daughter, Elizabeth, but no living sons. Court intrigue mounted. Enemies whispered. Henry's love turned to suspicion, and suspicion to anger, and was arrested on charges of adultery, treason, and even witchcraft. The trial was a spectacle of power, not truth. Evidence was thin, but the verdict was certain, and was condemned. In May of 1536, she faced the blade of the executioner's sword. Her last words were composed, forgiving and dignified. She died young, but her legacy lived on. Her daughter, Elizabeth I, would one day become one of England's greatest monarchs, and the Church of England, born of Anne's defiance, would forever reshape the nation. Now, the year is 1773. Across the Atlantic, in the American colonies, discontent smolders. The British Parliament had passed the Tea Act, giving the East India Company the right to sell tea cheaply in the colonies, but still taxed. For the colonists, it was not the cost of the tea, but the principle. Taxation without representation was tyranny. In Boston, protest became action. On a cold December night, men disguised as Mohawk warriors boarded ships carrying British tea. One by one, they smashed open the crates and spilled the leaves into the harbor. 342 chests of tea, a fortune, floated on the dark waters before sinking. Yet not a man took a single pound of tea for himself. This was no riot. It was disciplined, deliberate theater. A message. The colonies would not submit. London's response was swift and harsh. The coercive acts, called by Americans the intolerable acts, closed Boston's port and punished the city. But the punishment backfired. Instead of weakening resistance, it strengthened unity. The colonies, once divided, began to act together. Within 2 years, the first shots of revolution would echo at Lexington and Concord. The Boston Tea Party was the spark that lit the fire. Our final journey takes us farther back than Tudor queens or colonial rebels. We travel to the Soup Valley of Peru, to a city that predates Egypt's pyramids and even Mesopotamia's first kingdoms, the city of Caral. Here, around 2600 BCE, people built monumental pyramids, sunken plazas, irrigation canals, and networks of trade, without the wheel, without metal, and without writing. Their tools were simple. Their vision was extraordinary. Caral was not a city of conquest. Its power lay in cooperation. Music, ritual, and astronomy guided its people. Trade with coastal and highland neighbors sustained its growth. Archaeologists have found no signs of warfare, only harmony, faith, and ingenuity. For nearly a millennium, Caral thrived. And then, slowly, it was abandoned. Perhaps drought strained its fields. Perhaps shifting trade routes drained its lifeblood. Whatever the reason, the people left, and the sands covered their city. Caral slept for thousands of years, until rediscovery in the 20th century revealed its wonders once more. It stands as one of the world's first cradles of civilization, proof that humanity's greatness does not always begin with conquest, but sometimes with peace. And so, across centuries and continents, we have journeyed together. We have seen peasants endure bitter winters with courage and community. We have watched ambition in Tudor England topple kings and birth a new church. We have heard the splash of tea into Boston Harbor, the sound of rebellion in the making. And we have stood in awe at Caral, the ancient city of peace, where humanity learned to live together in harmony. These stories, so different, share a truth: that human beings in every age adapt. They innovate, they endure, and in their endurance, they leave us lessons worth remembering. As you drift now into rest, let the fire of the peasant's hearth, the strength of Anne's resolve, the courage of Boston's rebels, and the wisdom of Caral's builders guide your dreams. For history is never truly gone. It whispers, always, in the quiet of the night. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, please remember to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories. Thank you, and good night.